Another test subject.
Squall and Fury. Upon the gale. Wretched vermin.
Shower me with praise. Let my name echo in wings of darkness. Come, stubborn.
The wind rises.
Another test subject. Suffocate.
Search for it. Unsightly insects. Quick follow.
Pay your dues.
Yoo-hoo! Let the world collide!
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
Upon the gale.
The shelving...
Another test subject.
Breaking you! By royal...
Behold. Wretched vermin.
Strike a pose! Let my name echo in wings of darkness. Come!
The wind rises.
Run from death.
May I present...
Too slow.
Another test subject.
Squall and Fury. That's far enough. Cry louder.
Strike a pose! Let the world come alive! Midnight Phantasmagoria!
I'm used to this.
Another
Hard
test
hitting
cell.
it. On for
The wind rises. Search for it. Upon the gate. Unsightly insects.
Let my name echo in song. Breaking it.
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
Squall fury.
Can't run from death.
Add Astra. interesting to do.
Wind rises. Behold!
begin. Stay.
Upon the gale. Savor the snow in peace. Run! Cry loud!
Looks like I went too far.
Shower me with praise! Truth bomb! By royal
The wind rises. Yeah. Behold.
Ad Astra. Thank you for Gather. Get out of here! Out of the frying pan!
Step right up.
Solidify.
Everybody stand back! Let's lock!
Let's get this show on the road.
Order guide you.
Magic can't cheat death, you know.
Gather.
Wait, I'm going in! Huh? Nice and spicy! You're toast!
Now disappear. A round of applause. And voila!
Teamwork!
is order.
Boba, get them!
Gather.
Let's get this show on the road. Step right up.
Going in! Nice and spicy. Eat this!
Solidified. Gather.
Get out of here!
I will have order.
Ha! Everybody stand back!
A round of applause.
Stabilize.
Get out of here! At the frying pan, it's...
And voila!
I'm going in! Let's light it up! Boba, get them! Hey-ya!
Here comes the finale.
Gather.
Ha! Teamwork is
This is order. Solidified.
At the frying pan,
Now disappear.
Gather.
I'm going in!
I will have order.
Nice and spicy!
Let's get this show on the road.
You're toast!
Solidified.
Teamwork is dreamwork!
This is order.
At the frying pan,
Stay calm. Stay.
why do they never miss? Off we go! Adventure time!
Gather.
Huh? I'm going in!
A round of applause.
Stabilize.
Huh? Huh? Teamwork is dream.
Order guide you. Gather.
Hey-ya! Nice and spicy. Huh! Water.
Stabilize.
Huh? Boba, get them!
And voila!
Cheap tricks. I'm ready. You win. This battle. Take this. Solidify.
Adventure time! Everybody stand back! Let at the frying pan!
Here comes the finale. Step right up.
This. Stabilize. This is order.
I'm going in! You're toast!
You'll get frostbite. Solidify. Order guide you.
Teamwork is dreamwork! Nice and spicy!
And voila!
Killjoy. We've only just begun. Flash freeze. Chill flash frost. Cooked food. Freshly discovered. Frozen food. Oh no. Too warm. Stabilize.
When everybody stands, eat this!
I will have order.
Get out of here! Teamwork is dreamwork!
Let's get this show on the road! Step right up!
You're here! Finally! Is something wrong? Monsieur Durvalette and Lady Farina, they seem to have gotten into a dispute. Please go see for yourself.
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor, are you not? Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent Poisson incident.
You mean... they're all...
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again. I will say this once more. You must tell me everything you know. Yesterday, I found 3 stone slates in some ancient ruins near Poisson. Do you know anything about those?
Seriously? You're questioning me like this is a court case now. I don't know anything about that. But you found them in some ancient ruins, you say?
That's correct, which is why I came to ask you some questions. There should have been 4 slates, but one of them was missing. The other 3 featured different images that seemed to correlate to the prophecy.
The prophecy?
The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin. If anyone would know about it, it should be you.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Forgive me for saying this now, Lady Farina, but I have long known of your various secret investigations into certain matters. There are several indications that you have been investigating the prophecy on the sly. This is not strange in itself, considering that you are the Hydro Archon. But it is strange that you should also claim to not know any of Egeria's secrets, as well as do nothing following your inquiries. You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be, nor are you a fool. And yet, your behavior is very inconsistent.
So you've been watching me all this time, have you? I didn't think you were that type.
You...
Well, since you know about my secret investigations, then you should know I'm actually working to take care of it. There's no point questioning or suspecting me. You're the Eudix, but you're still my subordinate. You should be following my lead. Just trust in me, your Archon, and do as I say. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. It'll all turn out fine. That's all I have to say. We do not discuss this matter again. Oh, the opera's about to start. Toodles!
Did Farina not notice us standing by the door? Wonder what's up with her. She was smiling.
I assume you've been outside for a while now?
Oh! You noticed! Seems Farina didn't even realize we were here.
She was in a great panic, though I cannot discern the reason. Our discussion reached impasses time and again, a state of affairs that we cannot allow to continue. Still, I do not understand. Dialogue is the basis for understanding, so why did she keep refusing to engage? Everyone in her inner circle has noticed that she is hiding some secret. The issue is her attitude. I fear that she will not reveal anything unless absolutely forced to. We may have to create a situation in which she will have no choice but to speak.
Oh? Like what?
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon experience just such a scenario.
But Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip away at the first chance she gets?
We will need to consider this thoroughly, join forces with various parties, and then do what we can. If at all possible, I would prefer to recuse myself from this affair, but we must prevent the prophecy from coming to pass. This may be cruel to her, but all Fontaine is in crisis. The information a god possesses is too But who will lend us their aid to do such a thing?
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people.
And here you are drinking tea like it's...
That's what family should do.
It's nice to enjoy tea here, you know? Care for a cup?
Lend me your ears, everyone. Or perhaps one of you might like to start us off. How about you, friend?
Me?
Then, how about you, good...
I fear that I will cause the mood on this boat to become as somber.
Well then, I guess we're lucky we've got a local like me to organize things.
That was a little long-winded, don't you?
Oh, you might be right. Anyway, to cut to the chase, as for what that is, well, let's start by saying that we'll be...
Oh?
Well, it's just an expression, really. One that I just...
Huh? Didn't...
Oh, come now. Your work doesn't involve much public speaking, right? This is a good chance to...
I see.
He is glad that you consider...
In that case, do any of you have experience hunting?
Not that I recall.
Fremine and I once used a wooden stick in a basket to catch wild rabbits when we were younger.
I've also gone...
I'm afraid not. Though that was their name. Today, Fontaine's monster population has already thinned greatly, so the hunters have blended back into society, taking up arms in other lines of work. They even left a unique methodology of hunting in their wake. A trap comprises of the following components: bait, a trigger, and a containment device. Sometimes a lethal implement will also be necessary to deal with the prey. So, if we were to build a trap together, right now, what would you choose to build it with?
For me, I would prefer something basket-shaped. Pigeons and rabbits will see the bait and naturally enter the snare. Our line of work requires a deft hand, and we're some of the best in the industry, so you can count on our techniques.
You used some of those techniques while moving the people of Poisson, didn't you? My subordinates mentioned that you even performed some magic for the bawling children.
Yes, and I even managed to gather some intelligence in the meantime. I'm quite the multitasker if I do say so myself.
I'm afraid I can't claim that as my strong suit. I prefer more stable methods, like placing bait in the water and waiting for the fish to come within reach. That's the kind of method I would count on.
Calm and steady. Exactly the kind of person who would catch loads of fish.
And I can be their assistant.
With discretion, I'm sure.
I'd probably use some sort of mechanical animal. Papa once bought me some small clockwork squirrels, mice, and such. I remember that you liked those too,
I did. And that would be a good way to go about it.
What about you, Monsieur Neuvillette?
I fear I do not have any...
That makes sense. But I do have one more question. If we were to create a trap... If we wanted to kill the prey in one strike, we would need a powerful implement. However, that also goes for prey that must be captured and safely contained.
Wait.
Only a hunter who's a true expert...
If our means of capturing and dealing with our prey is to put them on trial, but we shall require much more courage than any hunter to judge a god. A being...
Oh, so that's what's going on. Sounds very interesting.
I'll keep this close.
Witness my magnificent!
fury. The wind rises.
And away I go!
The show begins! Shower me with praise! Time to shine!
Ninjutsu! Ooh, what's in here? Maybe a growth serum?
Bombs away!
Yeah, huh? Make my... I feel kind of woozy.
take it and have fun. The wind rises. Squall Fury! Behold! Jack! Too slow. Water jet! Yeah!
Gotta dash. Huh?
Water jet! Water jet! The wind rises. Quit following me. Squall Fury.
trinkets for me.
The wind rises. Squall Fury.
How brilliant! Ooh, what a...
Water jet!
May I present?
The wind rises. Search for it. Yeah. Behold.
The tea can wait.
Yoo-hoo! Shower me with praise! Time to shine!
The wind rises. Upon the gale.
Let's call a ceasefire!
Squall and Fury. That's far enough.
The tea can wait.
This is order.
Not now. Cole, learn to...
Follow my... Press the advantage! Oh, coming through! Attaboy! Ha! Ha! will have order. Solidify.
My guiding stars. Stars.
Pull in! Everyone on me! It's showtime! Let's roll! Yeah. 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 Ah! Gather! Order guide you. Charge!
Oh, mine's
Rally! Solidified! Oh, coming through! Attaboy! This is order. Gather!
the night is cold.
Advance! Everyone on me! Who wants some of this? Let's roll! Ah! Attaboy!
Peak physique.
The wind rises.
It's been a tough few days, hasn't it? So much has been happening. Paimon didn't think the meetings would go on for so long, but everyone seemed pretty fired up, huh? Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised. Well... It's hard to say. Paimon doesn't have any experience with this sort of thing. But with you around, Paimon sure will do great. After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Huh? Did you just pour some tea? Paimon didn't notice you doing that at all. Then what's that? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea. I merely refrained from saying anything till now.
Who's that voice? But there's no one here.
Ah, have you forgotten me already?
Wait, you are familiar. You're the voice we heard from the sky in Sumeru.
The voice from the sky, I fear that description is wrong. Though, you're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously. I sensed that confusion and thus came to you. Guiding people is an irresistible hobby of mine, after all. Consider me a passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your own eyes. Can everything in Tevat so easily be changed? So you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about? It all sounds really impressive and important and stuff, but it also...
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant, but others you must reach out to change. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. All you need to do is to play your part. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, that'll be all for today.
The voice... it's gone. I might hear someone talking. All right, coming. Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked in on some lively banter.
Mona!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. Not all Fontanians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations. I agreed, so we had a brief chat with her.
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes! It was Charlotte. You remember her, right? I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just a few words?
That's right! Paimon's glad—
Ah, yes. About what— Huh? Goodness gracious. Are you—
She said that even
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage— but I've never met her.
Whoa.
Their abilities alone are pretty—
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand—
Yes, she was quite— Perhaps it is something— Traveler?
Oh, we're—
I see. I guess you could consider me someone who has— But even so, perhaps that's what En was trying to tell you. I did originally think of—
Huh. You do have a point.
It was worth trying to— I suppose that—
Paimon feels kind of moved by what Mona said. Hey, Traveler. Paimon suddenly— Let's walk around the city, shall we? There's a few spots we always like to walk by. Can't touch me! Make my... Huh? Our names are written in this news... Let Paimon see! The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in... My recent attempts to enter the fortress bore little... Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report. A blind adventurer with their white fairy legend... So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery... Journalist Charlotte's biggest scoop yet. The Traveler's Trail, World Walker. Huh. Charlotte took so many awesome photos of us and we never even noticed her. She hasn't been able to get a hold of anything at the... seriously? Well, fine. We're here! Paimon's hungry. Hey, quick! Look! That's the limited edition only 16 slices a day cake! It was so delicious the last time we tried it! Despite the tense situation we were in, let's give it an...
One slice of cake, please.
Someone showed up after all! Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur...
Wait, did he really say...
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me...
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
It's part of my daily schedule, apart from work.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing?
But why would it close?
Well, Paimon doesn't know either.
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that. No. It's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow.
Huh.
Don't be sad. Excuse me, could I have 2 more slices of cake to go? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of expression you're making is what
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, and I've got something else to do, so I'll be going now.
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. Paimon... It's more delicious than last time! And the flavor gets even better with this... Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food here. Oh! We're near the Steambird office! Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
Ha! You've got some nerve! You just used us to make some quick more...
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It appears you didn't receive it, though. It's all right, though. I've set aside the amount intended for you. I've even set the table with some food.
Really? Oh, you're the best!
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now, you know.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought of coming to see you at work.
I see. It seems you've already bumped into Mona here in Fontaine. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request an exclusive interview with the legendary traveler and Paimon?
Huh? So your article in the paper today doesn't count?
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and experienced.
Yeah, are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need a few days to prepare.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the time then?
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply for lighting, a venue, some props, and... Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow, what would you do today?
Huh. That's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, if you're seriously... From what I've seen, most people don't... So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the... Just think about it. If this nation... And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic, but I do love my job, and I'd be proud of leaving such an article behind. I guess you could say that I was born to be a journalist. But anyway, that's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my preparations.
That's so nice. All of a sudden, Paimon actually kinda envies her. Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty soothing combo, huh? Paimon's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat... No, Paimon should have... We've always been moving to the next destination, so we haven't spent much time thinking about these kinds of things. You mean, still traveling? Huh. Feels like you'll grow mold if you stay here long enough. But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure.
Ah, so the two of you are still here.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonia, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur Nervillat sent me to look for you two before. I heard... Not at all. I'm well aware that you're friends of his. Actually, I'm here... Yes, inside the Opera House.
A riot?
Well, that said, Lady Farina was watching a performance at the Opera House, and Mosh loudly accusing her of doing nothing. And before she could respond, the crowd continued to grow and protest against the high...
So people have started to put the blame on Farina.
I agree. People will naturally rely on God.
So what happened after that is for...
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of... The Marechaussee Phantom had their hands full maintaining order and...
So, you mean she's...
That's right. The Marechaussee... That said, I don't think they're good.
Don't worry.
Is that...
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then. If we know Farine, and as we all... When Nervillet was talking, it would be hard for... Paimon thinks for... Huh. Well, what do you think? Paimon knows the answer, of course, but Paimon can do the analysis. In that case, there's not a moment to... deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. That's Farina, right over there. She really is here all on her own.
Should I just give up? This is all meaningless. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in all... I'm sorry, but what can I even do? Other than... Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina. It's just us.
So, it is you.
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't...
What do you mean, tear stains? Who did that They even dare to tout their Archon? I must... Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marish Sauce Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just... That's against the...
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with... This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here.
What?
Hurry, they're almost...
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
Paimon's exhausted.
No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they display.
Yep.
What's happening?
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded...
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that.
Yeah, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the... Give up. Indeed. I've thought about giving up. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It happened just now. It all became clear. As long as the final Don't worry. Well, that's enough for now. Don't take any of what I just said seriously.
Come on! Paimon...
Share. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start. A witness. Yes, and if Tevat is in its entirety. I...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the very concept of justice to trial?
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god?
I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not always an indication of surrender.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly disappointed in myself. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice! This time, I will protect you. Applaud and rejoice! One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words, this shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine! The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Woohoo!
Oh, now we're making history!
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic,
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then... Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins. Just how much work did you do?
well, We did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something... So, we arranged for a...
So, you mean... the one...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box, so you...
That's right. That house was a magic box.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a lot of work for all of us.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready. Also that as soon as I appeared on the...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all...
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me... You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage.
Oh?
It's fine. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with...
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us? Wait, then that means this document? So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in... I didn't... This is the Fatui Harbinger. The fortress... The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably only...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervilette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still have... Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric.
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false act.
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. And if I was not the Archon...
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervalet?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the endem...
That doesn't sound right. You tried to reference the Oratrice, but what—
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current... While the court is in session, the principles of justice, and you will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges.
I never thought you'd use that.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand, instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by
the real Hydro Archon. It is true that I did not know why but the Oratrice handed out that verdict. You can't argue that just because
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
My power as an Archon. There are...
If that poses a concern,
you don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium! Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with—
Isn't that...
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power?
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone! I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? Please? You've got to believe me!
If what the prosecutor said is true.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the— if you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea. And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate—
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, including those— So, Miss Farina, if we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of—
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many—
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontaine.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate—
She's just staring at the water without...
What's going on? Is she
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is still here! I haven't been dissolved! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like a normal human who would fall apart as soon as they touch this water! Really? Was this not the most obvious thing in the world?
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegewin?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. Let me see. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegewin.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate that she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved! Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However,
After extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, we don't want anyone else to lose.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low concentration. It's a great thing that the direct sample.
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone! Think about it! How can you Also, if I was really just a human... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct, then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things, so she told...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current... Is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! Oh, you finally made it. I assume...
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me will always be top priority.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Freminate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded? Then... doesn't...
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and confirm their contents.
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no. So when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other... The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon, the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But this must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. Huh. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People we didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after...
Perhaps what is about to take place, the true sin of the Hydro Archon and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine.
That doesn't sound quite...
The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater. If we hadn't dealt with it in time... We know from the case of the serial disappearances and this might be the reason that... It's not as simple as falling into... When Navia fell into the sea, the stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon.
They'll dissolve dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist, their essence will flow in the seawater. Converge! The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by... The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the surest sign that the prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. Now? So, but then it feels like...
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with the evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater. And how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial. All of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that that could also explain why the Oratrice judged that
the Hydro Archon's true sin.
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like... So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters. And only the Hydro Archon will remain. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative.
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontaine. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the seven, did not want to give in. She eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be... Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going... Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontaine.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are human. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Trials and Justice. Instead of being the literal element, You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of Therefore, the meaning of that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the Court of Justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the fourth slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meropide served as the However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only... As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come.
That doesn't sound...
It was both
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that...
the truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will be
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me.
Indeed. That's not how a grand
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what.
What's happening with the Oratrice?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina!
No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question...
Fusalo. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else, too, if I were the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for she knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's...
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity, and the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary. I cannot begin to fathom.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me, it's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and
Oh, who permitted you to come onto this stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my august self, but I must ask... All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from my performance. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor, the eyes of countless Fontanian... Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Squall and Fury! How amusing. Too slow.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards! Strike a pose! Let my name echo in so...
Behold!
Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you.
Wait a moment. You're near me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh? You know what? That's not bad. Let's go with that.
Mirror me? What do you wish to say?
The prophecy. Have you heard of it?
What prophecy? Wait. I know. I think. I don't know why, but it's in my head somehow. The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Oh, very good. You know it well.
What's going on? I can't seem to remember anything clearly. The only thing I know for sure is this prophecy. Will it really come to pass?
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Disaster will come to Fontaine sooner or later. Things will develop just as the prophecy declared. There is no escaping it.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontainian just like them. Will I dissolve too?
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to give people a chance to turn things around. It is the reason why you met me today. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. Goodness, you frightened me. You spoke so much and with so much certainty. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was, why do I have to be the one to suffer? But if the prophecy will come true, I'll also die anyway, right? So if I've already met you as my magical meeting in this world, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side, and my pain on the other, is it not obvious where the scales should tilt?
You truly are the perfect human, my ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play a role, that of the new Archon.
Play as a god?
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But
how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without—
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn your being a human yourself. I'm sure you remember your true
so how long?
To accomplish this mission, you will have to but I promise you.
A trial, huh? The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my first time facing the people. What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest— Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Opera Epiclese. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor to, as the god Focalor, the god of justice, I shall do all within my power to lead you. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or this should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully I was
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be—
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest.
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone right? Mirmi said that calm down, Farina. Think. Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One— Now, I was was wondering if some weak puppet were... Well, it seems that you would. You may consider my previous act a door gift of... Now then...
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, we have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say the scales of justice should not weigh heavy. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. There is no trouble in this so long as I, the Ark...
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now. Was I not just at the Opera House in person? Leave these kinds of things. Besides, none of these
If I may be so impertinent...
A magnificent, dramatic, and
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp your divine...
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of perseverance. All right. Deuteria, is it?
He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than...
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again...
You're such a gentle and wise god.
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters...
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, all manner of signs indicate that the
well, as I understand it...
Really?
I'm...
Oh, is that so? Well... The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment, but it's good to see that everything's getting... Maybe this is fine.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases, as well as a summary of the follow-up.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already.
Lady Farina, I've waited so long for this chance to see you in this manner.
Indeed, my dear loyals.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near Poisson.
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should anything come up at the Institute. I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Farina, it's like a dream being able... I've heard that the first member of our...
What is it?
Are you crying?
Uh-huh. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god.
No wonder. No wonder.
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined. Have I reached my limit? I want to tell someone, anyone. I've conducted so many investigations. All I can do is keep heart.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people are...
Share that's impossible.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, just share it with me.
A witness. And if to that is in its entirety... He's right. I couldn't, but if things don't play out... No, Farina. You should... But what if... Farina, you've worked so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? If you let this opportunity think about it long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once, and it seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after all.
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But that is only half the truth, is it not? How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine? That is the most important thing.
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yes?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Linny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device, in truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Farina suffered? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the Oratrice. But really, Some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to Fontaine. The vast majority had to be, accumulated to enact this death sentence.
It was all a part of your plan, then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia had it only been used for that purpose. Almost all of it has now been stored within the oratories. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia and breaking through the institution that is the Seven.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent, you must be...
returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing human existence itself. So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world would, in other words, existence was Egeria's justice. And to me, justice is the continuation of that existence, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we, whether it be myself or all other Fontainians, have shouldered the burden, Iudex Nervilette, the highest judge in our land. When you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea at last. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them you are, things being as they are. Surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervalette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
I, Iudex Neuvillette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
What just happened? Has the death sentence been carried out?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that some...
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved...
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
But... didn't you say just a moment ago...
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can... The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring Narwhal. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come. To separate the power of the primordials away. Considering the fact I cannot reach the power source.
the darkness! Come, sever night!
Squall Fury! Unsightly insects!
Shower me with praise! Time to shine! Hard hitting it? Odds reveal the...
The wind rises. That's far enough. Upon the gale. Quit following me.
The show begins!
Another midnight phantasmagoria. Behold, how amusing. Wretched vermin.
How dare you! Shower me with praise! Let the world come up! Breaking news! By royal decree! The darkness! Come, step...
Squall and Fury! Pay your dues! Unsightly insects!
Yoo-hoo! Time to shine! Hard hitting it? Odds freaking...
Too slow. Behold!
Strike a pose! By royal decree!
Squall and Fury! Cry louder!
Yoo-hoo! Let my name echo in song! True bomb!
Ignite Phantasmagoria. Behold! Search for it. Can't run from death. Another test.
Revealed by
The wind rises. Unsightly insects.
time to shine. Yoo-hoo! Shadow Raven, let night fall. Raking you.
Squall and Fury. Quit following me.